I am against it.
Okay.
I'm against it pretty emphatically for a number of different reasons. Obviously, I dislike the fact that this guy obviously used some sort of performance-enhancing drug, and I'm not even going to say allegedly because I'm sorry, look at the guy. All right, nobody hits the gym that much, and his voice has changed. It's just not the same guy. Something's going on there, and I don't like it. I don't like that he's the champion right now. Not that worried about it because I feel like other people will break it. I disliked his reaction when he hit 755 and 756. He hit the home run, and he stood there and watched it, celebrated. You've hit the most home runs in baseball history as far as actually hitting ones going out of the park. Not legitimately, but whatever. Act like you've done it before. And don't be, and I'm going to say it, a dickhead. You stood there and you watched it, and I'm sorry, the next pitch would have been coming for your dome because you don't stand there and watch home runs. If anybody else does that, that's what they get. It's an unwritten rule in baseball, and for some reason, you're above it because you're Barry Bonds, and you're dealing with the media and all this stuff. You're dealing with it because of the way you handled it. If you'd handled it better, this wouldn't be such a big problem. The guy who caught the ball, by the way, got mugged. Congratulations to him. I hope he makes a boatload of money off it because he doesn't even like Barry Bonds, like myself.
All right, well.
Josh, defend Bonds now.
I'm going to say that Bonds was there. He showed up every day for the last, 18, 20 years, whatever it was.
We got a phone call.
All right.
Will it be some Bonds?
We'll let you come in. Caller, you're on Talking Trash. Go ahead.
Hey, how you guys doing tonight?
Good, how you doing?
Good. Hey, I just want to pipe in on the Bonds thing. There's one small thing I noticed that nobody's really talked about. Did you notice that when he got the home plate, his son went to hug him, and he was too busy raising his arms to even hug his own son? To me, that epitomizes Barry Bonds. Forget the steroid. I agree with you. He did the stuff, and it's a tainted record as far as I'm concerned.
Yep.
But he wouldn't even hug his son at that one moment.
Right.
What is up with that?
Well, this just shows Barry Bonds is there's something to be said for smelling the roses when you're there and enjoying the moment. And I can sort of respect that to a certain degree. But I got to tell you that even when I've hit a home run against my friends in the backyard, I've never been that big a dick about it and stood there and watched it and celebrated it. It's rude. It's rude, and if you're going to show any kind of sportsmanship at all, it's rude. I know these are just regular season games, but, it's like settle down a little bit. And yeah, enjoy the moment with your son. Don't worry so much about yourself. And he just seems to worry about himself so much, and that's a good point to make because you can definitely see him raising his arms more than getting ready to meet his son. Who Mark McGwire, by the way, who also could fall into this category for a lot of the records he broke, was always hugging his son. So at least we knew Mark McGwire was a quality guy.
And plus, McGwire still played the game to win the game, whereas for the last couple of years, it seems like Bonds has just been playing for himself and not to help his team or to help the game of baseball.
The guy doesn't even want to run to first.
And you look at the game last night. After he hit the home run, he goes out. He plays maybe one out in the top of the sixth, and then he comes out and he sits. And now they're saying he's going to sit for most of the rest of the season.
Well, part of the reason they did that so he could get another ovation by taking him out in the middle of the game.
Yeah, it's like he doesn't. He plays maybe 6-7 innings just to get 2 or 3 at bats to see if he can hit the home run. And finally, he's done it. And now he doesn't even play.
Caller, are you as excited as we are to hear Josh try to defend Barry Bonds right now?
I'd like to, if he has a valid point, I'll listen to it. But
okay, stay on the line with us then, and let's hear from Josh. Go ahead.
I have 2 questions for everyone involved in the conversation right now, but everyone knows who Shoeless Joe Jackson is, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And everybody knows who Pete Rose is, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Barry Bonds is the 3rd guy like that. He'll be remembered for what he did, who he was, how he played the game, whether it was against, whether it was against the juice ball era, if he was jacked up on steroids or not, he's already got to deal with that. He's got to live with that. And the guys that came before him, they've gone into the Hall of Fame. Well,
no,
Pete Rose would go into the Hall of Fame if Bud Selig would allow him in.
Is Shoeless Joe in the Hall of Fame?
He's remembered in the Hall of Fame. He doesn't have a plaque that enshrines him into the Hall of Fame.
Okay, here's my thing on that real quick, is that there's a difference between famous and infamous. And those guys are infamous. I couldn't even tell you if Shoeless Joe was a good player. I don't know. He wasn't from my era. All I remember from him is the Black Sox scandal. Pete Rose, the first thing you think of, he gambled on baseball. Sure, he's a great hitter. I remember that a little bit because he was around right at the beginning of my time in baseball. But first thing I think of is the gambling.
Okay, but when you think of Barry Bonds 10 years from now, 20 years from now, if the record never gets broken again, that's what you're going to instantly go to, and that's what you're going to think of. The guy that broke the record, who was juiced on steroids, but it doesn't matter. The fact remains, Barry Bonds is the new home run champion.
Caller, did that make you satisfied?
A little bit. I want to bring up just one quick thing, and I'll let other people get through.
Okay.
When you mention Pete Rose, even though one of the first things you think about is the gambling, you still think about the way he played the game. With Bonds, you don't think about you think about the way he played the game because you think he played it wrong, and I do too. I think Pete Rose played it right, but did dumb things. I think Barry Bonds played it wrong and still did dumb things.
I agree.
Yes.
And I will agree with that.
Pete Rose was Charlie Hustle. The man dove head first in the bases, and he wasn't that fast. God bless him. He gave his heart and soul on the diamond every game. Barry Bonds, you couldn't say that about.
Barry Bonds ran him arms first into his needles. I'll let it go at that. Thanks, guys.
All right, thanks for calling.
I think the other thing you got to think about is that in a couple seasons here, I don't think Bonds will hold the record anymore. I think in about 6 to 7 seasons, if all goes well for Alex Rodriguez, I think he'll get to 800 maybe at some point. That might not even be, that might be more than enough to break the record, but I think Alex Rodriguez will break the record in a few seasons.
Well, Bonds is considered staying on, perhaps being a DH in the AL.
Will he get to over 800?
I don't know if any team is going to want to pick him up at this point. You think there's going to be a team out there that'll want him?
But will he get to over 800? He would need 44 more. That seems like a lot. That might be
Julio Franco is
seasons.
the oldest player in baseball, and the reason he has a job is because he can still produce. If
Yeah,
Bonds can
he's
go
still
out
a
there
good player.
and hit 1 home run in every 10 at-bats, he's going to have a job.
Okay, fair enough. I'm not saying he can't have a job.
No.
And here's the other thing that makes you know
You look
Barry
at
Bonds can move
You look
on.
at like the Kansas City Royals or a team like that. They could really use a guy like that to
sell
insert into
tickets.
the lineup.
some people
and
will.
sell tickets.
Some
Yeah.
people are still following him.
But will he want to go to a team that's awful like that? I think Barry Bonds is at the point where he kind of wants to join a team that's got a chance to do something.
Well, then maybe
Is one of those big market?
He goes-
Is one of those big market teams
What
going
would
to
be
pay
bigger?
him to come in
What
and
would
do
be
it?
bigger than Barry Bonds going and playing for the New York Yankees?
Well, that would just
Could
be
that
completely
happen?
awful.
Could that happen?
That'd be awful, just in a complete big circle.
Yep.
Yeah.